Storm. Stick with us.
Keep up with your favorite players and teams on the official HGC website for desktop and mobile. Stats, archived matches, and everything you need to stay up to date with the global Heroes of the Storm Esports League. Watch live on game days and upgrade your Heroes of the Storm knowledge. 2018 promises to be the best year yet. Look for expanded statistics, enhanced viewing experiences, and more on your home for the HGC.
Our stand right here, our choice is crystal clear. We are the beasts, the monsters fear.
The Zerg are preparing an assault against us. I need your help to defend this base. Here they come. Put on your big girl pants. Do not forget about the Archangel. It could vaporize us any moment.
Initialization complete.
The side disruption pulse is almost ready. We've done it! The Zerg are gone! Ah, I am so happy I could kiss every last one of you. Except you. You go over there.
Hello and welcome back to HGC North America, where we are sitting in between the match between No Tomorrow and Tempo Storm. And after some beautiful Hanzo Diablo combos of the last game, Tempo's up 2 games. It is going to be a tough one here for No Tomorrow as we've returned back to normal height, and it's weird to look up to you now.
Still trying.
That was a compliment. I was saying I look up to you, Jay. How?
Well, I didn't know. Metaphorically, or
no? That was serious. I don't know what I'm going with this one. Anyways, we got the battleground for game number 3. Where are we going to be headed after that last one? We've got Tempo Storm taking us to Infernal Shrines.
And no surprise. I mean, they're a really good team on this battleground, and the record kind of backs it up, only dropping 1 game so far on this battleground and playing it more often than not.
Really, no, kind of maybe. Well, that's not true. I have this written as, I guess tier 3, tier 4 in terms of priority for No Tomorrow, so they got to feel more comfortable on that.
Yeah, I think this actually lends to if they want to be aggressive. When it comes to the Tracer Genji, we had a few qualms about it. I think when we saw it in the draft, had some successes, but didn't have all the successes. If you trade maybe the Tracer or the Genji out for like a Gray main or something like that, get a little bit more sustain with the potential burst, I kind of like that a little bit more. I did like the Anubarak play last game. That It showed early a lot of the successes that they had before. So if they want to continue to try and keep up the pace, I think this is the battleground to do it.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up. The Anubarak play of the last game was, I mean, for how squishy and vulnerable, and also the amount of pressure, because we talked about it, that Catapult 16 was able to apply, and granted, was kind of the bane at the end of that game, but in the middle section of it, a lot of success coming out from him, setting up the team. Other ones, we've always can fear the Equinox Kerrigan, even though we're yet to kind of get it for some time.
I really feel like if they're going to go Kerrigan, it relies on Jin to be able to play Tyrael or something around those lines for them to have some type of, because the Blaze player would be Equinox in this circumstance. You have to have like that safety net of like, look, if I don't land this combo and we go in, what saves me? Is it an Uther? Is it a Tyrael? Is it a bunker?
Pretty much the thought process should be, never should one combo win that fight, right? And it just go, well, how can I survive to get 2 combos? And what resources can we end up drafting to make sure we do get that second combo? Because even if you don't end up, necessarily needing it, most team fights are going to kind of function in that manner where the survivability of Kerrigan, if you're just so reliant on that first combo and just go, oh, that's all we've got, this is the fight, did we get a kill? If the answer is no, you're like, okay, well then we're just going to go packing.
Well, we did see Sonya kind of approached earlier on the first map, and it's something that we've known Equinox to kind of run into. Sonya does well on this battleground, so maybe they can consider going down that route. Also, you kind of got to consider Jay Shrite's mages that he does like to play, whether it's a Jaina, whether it's a Gul'dan. Maybe they can find some other element to try and capitalize on.
Also, everybody coming over from World of Warcraft joining us. Those are some names that you probably know. Jaina, Gul'dan, even got that Medivh band out here for No Tomorrow. Welcome to the HGC. This is Heroes of the Storm. Maev is going to be taken away, as we said there, by Tempo. What do we see out of No Tomorrow? We've seen Genji first pick in games 1 and 2. I'm going to say I don't think we see the Genji first pick here.
I don't like Genji on this battleground in particular. Yeah. I think that you could find far more value in other heroes, whether it does end up going down the support route, whether it's a Malfurion. If you are going to be going into that heavy dive style, maybe switch it up. Maybe go into the Stukov. Maybe go in to the Uther. And I think that's probably going to show itself here depending on what we see first pick.
Taking a lot of time. Another hero that we might see a different kind of spike in priority in this series that I would maybe like to see a bit more on the side of No Tomorrow would be that Garrosh. I don't think it's got to be first pick priority because Tempo Storm's been a bit more comfortable with it. We still get the Genji. Bold move here for No Tomorrow. It's one of those, the Kerosene, he provides so much potential in carry, and I can't help but feel like part of the reason that, I talk about I don't want to see the Genji in this situation, and most of the times when I give my opinions on what I want to see in a draft, it is not off of in the series in this moment, it's more of just objective strength. Is that a safe decision within your draft? One thing we aren't totally kind of considering and very much might be coming to light here is Casanova feels like he needs to be on the Genji, and that is because they're playing with a sub here, right? And just going if we can get resets, we might have that way to get a comeback. This is Tempo Storm. You expect to be the underdog, and so that's why we still kind of see that, even though it hasn't had, again, maybe the most success in games 1 and 2.
Tempo, I'm curious what they're going to see. I really wonder if they're going to hold their warrior pick. Garrosh you know, obviously has a little bit different value on this map, but if you're afraid of the dive, obviously he does well to counter that. But if they do go down that Tyrael route, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just a matter of, do you hold that Tyrael and see if it's needed as opposed to wanted in the early part.
Still got the Uther at the top of the ladder here for Tempo, and Tychus is going to back it up. That has been another major staple there for Tempo Storm, is that Tychus.
Ooh, I wonder if we might get a Ragnaros. They played a lot of Ragnaros, and it was between Fan and Glaurung. And if they really want to play Ultimate Shrine Control, see if they go back down that route.
One thing I do like about this adjustment of the Tychus is now it makes that Garrosh, you know, not look that appealing. A lot of the frontliners in general are going to struggle. Talked about that synergy that it provides with the Uther. Just all around, you know, Tempo's drafting, I don't want to say on another level because I don't feel like that's fair. Again, they haven't really kind of had the envelope maybe pushed, but definitely with a different school of thought here for them.
No tomorrow. Saw the Anubarak in the rotation at this point last game. And again, I think it kind of comes down to supports. They no longer can play with that Uther if they do want to go in with something super aggressive, like the Kerrigan style or something.
Get a Stukov and JoJo.
Yeah, that's Shrine Control. Gives you potential setup for some of the mages coming in from...
Like the Jaina, the Junkrat, or the Hanzo are really the major three that exist that you can kind of go to get that synergy with the Johanna. Uther makes you want to go not Jaina. Lunara doesn't work too well. Lunara works okay with Johanna, which is something we also have to keep in mind because we already saw that in game number 1, and the Uther picked up on the side of Tempo Storm. What I was trying to highlight, though, is just in general that other than the Hanzo, none of those provide, like, I feel like enough damage in this type of circumstance, and it's not like Tempo Storm can't pick that up for themselves if they feel like they want it. Granted, it's Infernal Shrines. You've talked about it time and time again. Hanzo's win rate on Infernal Shrines, not nearly as boastful as some of his other maps.
It was just Friday that we saw Shrite try and bust out the Stormbow build on this map.
Yeah.
Didn't look pretty.
Nah, it was a bit of, you know, more struggle in there. Malthael hovered, likely to be the lock-in for Tempo Storm, indicating interest in maybe that Garrosh for themselves if they would like. This is the second time we've seen this Malthael ban in this position. The only time it felt, no, in that case there was with the Garrosh. I remember that there was a Malthael ban that felt out of place for me at some point on Tempo Storm, and it indicated something. I want to see if it got brought up again. We'll see if I remember it here after we figure out what No Tomorrow's going to land on. I'd be like Hanzo. But I'm afraid of Hanzo in general. Like even on this map, I personally look at Hanzo and I go, he is the ranged assassin in this game that I go, anytime I can get my hands on him, the utility, diversity of playstyle, other than he's vulnerable, which then you can make up for with things like the Uther, which Tempo already has on their side. Gonna go with the Sonya instead. This is what we saw last time out of them. Tempo on Dragon banned the Malthael. Sonya was the response. I was suggesting, you know, that, you know, something like the Leo or Fear out of that, but that is very much showing now. No Tomorrow personally feels like there's some kind of dance within that second ban phase that when the Malthael's out, that advantages gained by that solo lane need to get a Sonya ban.
Blaze the pickup here, likely to be Glaurung's hero. We haven't seen Blaze kind of take that main tank form since kind of his early release. So again, you have protection, and we see Diablo one more time. So we'll see if we get some big combos coming in here. I'm really curious what that last pick is going to be, because that last pick will most likely be Psalm's pick. And if he wants to get a little bit flashy, I'd say now's the time.
Whatever that flashy character, if they're going to break it out, is going to be, it's got to find a way to make sure it's got enough lockdown to be able to deal with the Genji on its own, or at least enough 1-versus-1 trade capabilities. There's a lot of kill potential over the Shrine right now. Pretty much anybody who moves up the Shrine on the side of No Tomorrow is dead. There's going to be a Diablo charge into a flip over, into a Bigger They Are, which hits right at the first spot, the spike of the first Shrine.
I mean, with the Sonya and Malthael ban and the Blaze pickup, I kind of wonder, where does that leave Equinox Hero? Because you talked about if anybody steps forward, you've got to have some type of frontline protection. Johanna obviously is good, but she's not great. She needs something else, whether that's an Arthas or something like that. They go with the Leoric. Doesn't have the same type of control, not far off, but I would have liked the Arthas, I think, on this battleground and in this matchup, but see where Leoric comes in.
This has to be an extract this game. For No Tomorrow. Junkrat, Johanna, Leo, Stukov, all that 4-man are very slow, poke, wait, delay, stall out. When Genji wants to go in there and Stukov doesn't have the supporting capabilities to keep him alive, there's not a pause button, anything else on the composition really to be able to help them. Also, might be seeing a lot of passive value in the early game there from him over those shrines. Because, I mean, if we talked about Diablo Tychus, I would argue one of the, debatably the worst and the best into that is Leo, because you can get the bait if you properly use the Wraith Walk. You also can survive that situation and you can come back to life faster. But if you don't get any of those things, he's got one of the lowest health pools. He's just one dead Skeleton King.
Tempo Storm, last few seconds here. Gul'dan, Jaina kind of come to mind.
Kel'Thuzad, please Kel'Thuzad.
But we still get with Hanzo. I thought that too, but then I see Johanna, I see Leoric.
Leo is, I personally feel like Kel'Thuzad into Leo, direct counter. Kel'Thuzad wins every single time. Get Glacial Spike, proceed to not give a damn about what he does whatsoever. Oh, hello, I can take this trade all day. Then you want to Wraith Walk away? I'm not going to let that happen. Reel you right back. Just keep taking the trade. You are not going anywhere. It's a free chains every single time.
It's so weird because Tempo, literally week 1. I want to say it was their first game of the year.
Yeah, we got
against
the Kel'Thuzad.
LFM. Literally first game on Dragonshire, busted out the Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah, and the bottom lane actually bodied Figgy multiple times on that
It felt bad.
Every dwarf toss, he was just reeled right back in.
But since then, no Kel'Thuzad. I don't know if that was just like
there's a time
let me
and
get
place.
this one game out of the way. But it's kind of like you want those high burst, like fun heroes just for your own enjoyment.
Yeah.
But you can understand the Hanzo pick, obviously. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, Hanzo, he's a pretty solid pick up here. And Tempo, they're keeping it classic, not getting too wild. They're sitting at match point over No Tomorrow. We'll see if they can lock out this series 3-0 as we get into game 3.
Well, Tempo Storm had an easy weekend up till now. Let's see if they can make it a 6-0 as they're sitting up 2-0 right now. You can see Hanzo is going Scatter Arrow here at level 1, although Uther and Taika still waiting to see where they're going to go.
What do you sit at on Infernal Shrines since the struggle, kind of Hanzo? Do you go with Scattering, do you go with Stormbow, or do you go with Redemption?
I like Redemption at 1, and then the Explosive
Stormbow
at 4.
Yeah. Get threat over the objective and the miniways at all point in time.
Yeah, and even 7 I'm okay with if you want to go down the Scatter Arrow. I'm cool with that, but depending on who's on the other side, go with that armor reduction.
Full 5-on-5 here over this mid wave. See what happens.
It's a good lurking arm into a Condemn there.
Yeah, really good, kind of first signs of synergy here out of No Tomorrow. Tomster on the Stukov, though. Something I want to bring up after last game, and, I believe we even got him in game 1, is just how well Tempo Storm has capitalized on his position. Notice how June even stands there to help anchor over that kind of choke. They do not let any team rotate for free, especially when they get Hanzo. They use the Scattering Arrow a lot of the times to just be able to get those dismounts and really, kind of hurt what many teams expect to be a free rotation. What Tempo top the standings of NA.
Curious rotation here is they actually rotated Leoric all the way down, so Equinox came down from that top lane, obviously having pretty significant wave clear for himself, but off on the left here, Psalm and Fan had already started that, so Casanova and team, they're looking for the early invade.
Get the Shadow Charge, Casanova gets flipped over, forced to use the deflect. I believe his Swift Strike actually was maybe interrupted there. Lurking arm dropped. Caterpillar unable to make it out. First blood over to No Tomorrow. Jet Propulsion missing there for Glorong, putting him in a bad spot. Wraith Walk through, getting the body block and the skeletal swing. Damage lands, 2 for nothing over to No Tomorrow.
Pretty reminiscent of last game, getting off to a fast start. I do like this composition a lot better compared to what they had. It felt it was a little bit too all in with some moments to shine, but ended up falling off. So first 2 kills of the game going over to No Tomorrow. I like what I'm seeing with the early aggression.
Yeah, it's just about keeping this in their control and finding a way to gain more out of it than we saw out of games 1 and 2. Mainly out of those kind of front walls, which we see be worked on, I guess here is the better way to put it, over the mid lane. Capitalizing on that camp that they just got, maybe even claim a turret for their own. Junkrat, in fact, is going to back out and just worry about the rotations. And that's one of those moments. I just would have liked to see No Tomorrow, again, a little bit more pressure up here. Because you see they're kind of dancing around and waiting for it, but it's like there are 2 members displaying towards bot. Junkrat makes the rotation out, and there could be a little bit more damage over that front wall. And that seems, again, difference here between Tempo and the rest of North America.
See Cattle coming in. trying to make space. It looks like June's trying to trigger that. He's like, please trigger this. That, or he's just having a good time dancing on it.
Thought he was going to go back and start the party again.
No.
Invade here from Tempo Storm. Jay Shrite does scout it out, but they're getting up there. They're getting their own Shaman. There's no interest whatsoever. It's a huge advantage for No Tomorrow having the Shaman camp with no Shaman camp even close to started out of the side of Tempo Storm. Puts it in a position where likely Blaze is going to put a lot of resources up there in the next 15 seconds, which means No Tomorrow should have a time frame advantage over this objective. It's very important that they capitalize on it. Jin and Jay Shrite only members to show right now. Leo now making the rotation down. Casanova joining the squad.
Early lead here for Tempo Storm. As you can see, Tempo, they're going to regroup just a little bit. Blaze, you can see on the minimap, clearing at the top. That's allowing an opportunity here for No Tomorrow. Try and take some control, but look for Cattle, seeing if anybody will step out. The good news for No Tomorrow, they have Johanna on that front line. Can step forward a little bit, get those condemns in, try and find something. The only thing you got to watch out for is when Fan throws a grenade right where you just pulled them off.
And the Blaze, who's about to collapse in. They're trying to make sure they get the advantage before he makes it down, but we are going to see Blaze joining the ranks of Tempo Storm. Fan under a lot of pressure, unable to get the dash out. Damage coming in. It's going to be another kill here for No Tomorrow. Can they get more? Looking for more. And this choke, Blind goes out. Skeletal Defender focus 33 to 30. It's so close. We see Casa go in, looking for that reset onto Diablo. Kata keeps himself alive. 36 and counting Tempo. They want this Punisher. They do not want to forfeit it. They go in, throw out the flames. No Tomorrow get it for themselves.
Some had a Stormbow come in there, and with the explosive at level 4, I thought he might have sniped it, but obviously No Tomorrow. Big pickup here. So 3 early kills, an early Punisher advantage. Now they're pushing directly into this bottom wall. Things looking good here in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, really well done here for No Tomorrow. Barely off point there with that Jay Shrite concussion mine to send Diablo back. Gonna find Diablo, condemn in, gets the slow with the punish, and that is now another kill on to Caterpillar here for No Tomorrow. They are just constantly threatening him. What is this? Sitting at 2 deaths already so far in this game, which I know, 2 deaths on a warrior, surprise, especially a lack of a mobile warrior like Diablo, but compare that to, the last game, Kato felt like he was nearly invincible a majority of the time.
It's just, I'm looking up, Dred, I see 9 to 7. And
that's not kills, you're talking levels.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, wait a minute here.
I mean, it's going to be hard. I mean, sometimes you kind of see, depending on when that Punisher died, the timer for the next Shrine phase. So Tempo Storm should be able to get to 10 by then, especially if they get a pick or 2, but definitely the race fully in favor of No Tomorrow. And once they pick up 10, we've seen the early aggression. We've seen the camp invades, and I wonder if they'll use that 10 spike to maybe try and do more of the same.
I think it's going to be very important that they do so. Otherwise, we'll find one of those situations where Tempo Storm just claw themselves back into a miracle game, and they're very capable of it. Tempo Storm, for being a team who doesn't play from behind very often, is still very good at understanding what they need to do to play from behind. Definitely, I would say one of the few teams that has kind of the perspective from both ends of the battlefield, right? With that from ahead and that from behind, and still making the right plays here and there. Good juke there onto the Drain Hope, and I think now Leo is out of hope as he's just going to get punished.
He didn't Wraith Walk very far there.
Yeah.
He's like I just need to get out of
Wraith Walk.
He's like, I need to get out of range of this tower. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm dead. Trait value.
Heroics are here for No Tomorrow, though, and Leo will be back to join in a reasonable time frame. What do we see them get? You see them setting up this Shaman camp, now the cycle towards the mid lane. I feel like this pressure is going to be mistimed a little bit too early on the bottom half for them to get that mid fort for as free as they would like. Now the Shaman camp started out of tempo. And again, this window, even with the loss of the Leo, Tempo Storm is not really losing anything else.
I mean, it really felt like they needed to just push mid.
Or
I mean,
something.
10-tier advantage. Like,
anything.
Give me max value. That's actually taking damage. He's got to explode that. There we go. But this fort, they're going to have to walk away from this. There's 10. I mean, Dragon Arrow and APOC, we saw it last game.
We were sitting at this game 9 to 7. And now we sit at the 11 and 10, and yes, the kind of dispersion of experience is part of the reason that level gap is lessened. But it's, I would argue, very much more so to the passivity. I don't know if that's a word I'm even aiming for here. The passiveness out of No Tomorrow.
June, I think at this point, may be trolling us a little bit in terms of heroic choices. You know, D-Storm at this point, I think the only person you're really hoping to land that on would be a Genji.
I think the coolest thing is that, you know, June really took it upon himself that once Iacona and Superstars and that kind of roster kind of took a step down, he separated away from HGC. Somebody had to be that talent holder. And he's the one really kind of repping it here for NA.
Well, he does end up locking in D-Shield, and justifiably. So, you know, we saw this earlier. You know, the Shrine ended up being captured by No Tomorrow, but now we've got Odin in the mix, and Odin is one of the best Shrine clears, so No Tomorrow can't afford to give up the type of lead that they did in the earlier one.
Gonna move up. 12-4. Jin, Lindsay pull the Condemn. They're just going to immediately get that Entomb, but there goes the Divine Shield. They're not afraid of anything. Kata goes in with that APOC arrow. Going to get that follow-up, but Equinox keeps himself alive. He gets the Wraith Walk. No Tomorrow, go back in. Jin poking up front. Equinox falling pretty low. No Wraith Walk available this time. Shadow Charge, and Ghost Form is commencing.
Jin eating a lot of damage, forced to use that Iron Skin, kind of comes back, but that oil was still on the ground. Tomster doing his best to keep the members of No Tomorrow alive. But now it looks like this Shrine, this Punisher, definitely going to go over to Tempo Storm. You can see up at the top, Blaze also needed to respond to the remnants of that camp that was still pushing, else they lose this fort. So good recognition on Tempo, getting full value all around here.
Fade over the wall from Jin. How much does Tempo get? There's a lurking Armuse. Toms are having to stop that. Leap off cooldown in about 5-10. Entomb goes down. Fans pressured. X-Strike hits. It's going to send him to the afterlife. Well done here by No Tomorrow, capitalizing on a bit of overextension there and using that short Entomb cooldown twice in a row.
I just like the fact that we're seeing synergy, Dread. Just the fact that is a call out ahead of time. I have Entomb, let's get the Swift Strike in. Clearly there, you know, we saw an attempt at a cleanse there. Now we see another invade. Cattle this time around, I believe, should have 100 souls at this point in the game, so definitely a little bit beefier than earlier. But the fact that they are coordinated and pulling this off is definitely a statement.
I mean, I agree with you. It feels like a bit of a new tomorrow, or no tomorrow here. A new tomorrow, a new day. Things looking up so far on Infernal Shrines. The top fort is still going to be easy pickings for No Tomorrow if they ever want to make this rotation up. Not too much of a reason to do so. If anything, you can make an argument for making it stand because that Shaman camp is going to be such a free clear and you can use that to build multiple minion waves. It's not like there's a race, you know, you're worried about anytime soon.
Right now, we're going to see No Tomorrow rotate down. Camp still available at the bottom. Tempo just kind of holding on to their structures as best that they can. And Diablo, he's now coming back as he needed a little bit of mana, needed to kind of refresh just a little bit. No Tomorrow, they get the kills, and it's just what we see Tempo Storm get out of the kills that they've obtained in the last few games seems a bit more significant.
Yeah.
When they do obtain those. And No Tomorrow, they kind of get the kills. They kind of do a little, but they don't do anything to just take a firm grasp of the game. You know what I mean?
They're going to take one here on top. They don't know if Fan was there. Blessed Shield. Oh my, are they going to get this Entomb after? It's going to force a D-Shield if so. No, not enough damage, just the Odin. No D-Shield yet. Condemn back.
I think he was waiting to see if the X-Strike was there. If the X-Strike comes out, that's 100%.
No, that was very controlled there from June. Sitting back, just knowing, hey, you know what? If we're going to use the Odin here, I'm willing to keep this up because really all that last Entomb pick that we saw onto Tychus was based off of that, just capitalizing on the shorter cooldown of the Entomb compared to the Divine Shield.
Blaze starting to make his way up. Remember, the next Shrine phase is going to be at the top here, as evidenced by the minimap showing that top icon. So Blaze came up, wasn't needed. He's going to head back down, keeping up in terms of experience here and making sure they don't lose too much. And it looks like we've got a full 5-man rotate. Tempo, recognizing that No Tomorrow is most likely going to be on that camp at the top right, which they indeed are. They're going to go in for another invade and steal this camp one more time.
Tempo has a choice to pressure bottom for free here if they would like. Are they going to decide into it? It looks like against it. I don't feel like there's a, you know, unless you kind of have a long-term plan, it makes sense to make that route. Hold on, Jay Shrite missed the concussion mine. And is going to get flipped over. There goes the Dragon Arrow, and that is absolutely colossal here for Tempo Storm, as that's 5 seconds out over this next Shrine. Punishment number 2 attempt from Cattle. Nice Iron Skin use out of Jin.
That's terrible timing. I mean, you cannot get behind on the Shrines because what we saw earlier, obviously Odin just kind of takes the cake. And right now, you're going to be behind the 8 ball one more time because there's almost no way you can contest this without the Junkrat. You still have Odin. It's going to be 5 seconds away, but D-Shield's going to be there. So they got to try and find opportunities elsewhere. And Tempo Storm, by stealing that camp earlier, is forcing out a little bit more time than No Tomorrow would like to spend there. And when the minute they show, Tempo Storm just goes right in, softening up this lane, prepping for that push.
How much is Tempo going to get prepped in that top lane is now my biggest question. See, now we see June and Diablo going and match elsewhere on the map, but I would just say take that top 4 for free during this time frame. Try and prep this Punisher as effectively as you can. I mean, they obviously were prepping it by taking the front wall, and it's pretty easy to get this fort down for free as the Punisher is still going to have a slow transition.
Yeah, I think what you mean is obviously getting that down a little bit further, amplifying the amount of pressure and damage you get out of that Punisher, maybe set up not just for a keep wall, but maybe beyond that if you can prep a little bit more.
Yeah, and you know, they're still going to have time here to get this side wall, which you can expect to be the main focus, otherwise Cattle can't get past. There it is. Now look for the leap and look for the all-in. Look at Hanzo pulling back. They want a Dragon Arrow combo. That's why every time you see someone do that, they always follow up with a Dragon Arrow combo. So watch his posturing. At any point you see him kind of take a step back, you know Cato's going ready to make something happen. Shadow Charge in, he pulls back. Not going to pull the trigger yet. Punisher leap.
Ooh, it's big time. They're waiting for it. They're waiting for it. Leoric going in on the backside.
Good Wraith walk. It's 4 members. And that's enough to zone off this keep.
That's big time. At this point in the game, they give up that keep. They lose a lot of control here. And the fact that they're able to hold on to that, I think right now is definitely a testament to their safe and smart approach there for No Tomorrow.
A lot of that is also composition, you know, with Leo, Johanna, and Junkrat all really hard to kind of make to siege into. Even the Odin difficult, unless you're willing to try and force that hand. Tempo, as we said, unwilling to do so. This is a bold move by No Tomorrow.
Especially against the Diablo. This is post 16. There's one flip. There's the Dragon's Arrow. There's the flip back. The Apoc's going to be there. Leo trying to walk out. He gets on the backside. X-Strike going in. Leo's going to be the first to fall. D-Shield was indeed used. That's going to be Genji, not able to make it out alive. You said bold. I would have said maybe a little bit crazy against the post-16 level Diablo.
Yeah, I'll raise, as we see kind of Tempo Storm, they're going to march towards top and take this keep. So let me kind of pose why, right? No Tomorrow got overconfident because they just zoned off of their own keep, right? But Tempo was only afraid of you because of that keep. Not even considering they gain advantages in tight chokes with APOC, which you saw a perfect line of just any passing whatsoever there. Now Tempo, move up, take the keep for free, even drop the bunker. 4 seconds out before Genji even spawns itself. Tempo's feigning weakness right now. They could force this very easily. They get the Entomb.
Oh, Cato's using it for himself. He gets the dive in. That's going to be Equinox going down again. Iron Skin already used. Look for Jin to be dove upon if he can even make it out. There it is. Cato with the dive in. Now with 2 members down, Odin is available to lockdown. They get one more kill. This is over, but they do still have Odin available. Tomster turns around. He is instantly blown up.
Genji tries to go in to get a reset and a miracle save here onto the core, but that's not enough this time. Casanova does not make it back to the Hall of Storms. Odin is dropped, and Tempo Storm is ready to have a flawless weekend here in what is going to now be game number 6 without dropping one. Riptire goes out. Bunker, though, it's a pretty nice answer.
I don't know if I've seen a Leoric live for less time than what I saw there, but that scattering arrow that Psalm just shot off that dead keep area just obliterated that health bar. Tempo Storm, I mean, 2 slow starts, though, in game 2 and 3, but, I mean, I think that also speaks to the composition of No Tomorrow and how strong it is. It's built for, you know, some early game aggression when you have the Genji involved.
I want to praise Tempo Storm around that last top team fight and the decision-making, number 1, around that Shaman camp fight, and then number 2, the next initiation immediately after. I don't know if I've ever seen a team identify this fast in my entire life, but it was mainly just, so again, talking about the false sense of security No Tomorrow fell into around that keep. They go like, oh, we zone. Hey, this is one of our realistic fights. Can we get it off of a shrine? Because the shrine fights haven't worked because of the Odin. It's like, well, territorial fights are still going to suck pretty much at any point in that map. And that shrine is a huge one. So that is overzealous on the side of No Tomorrow. But then the next fight, once the Genji starts to spawn, Tempo Storm starts backing out, right? Going like, oh, we aren't going to make this. But then No Tomorrow again, false sense of security going, we're pushing Tempo back. We think we
Genji hadn't even spawned yet.
He hadn't even spawned yet, and they were willing to move out. So Tempo goes, wait a minute, you're willing to entomb? That's why I was saying they're feigning weakness at this point in time.
Hanzo?
Yeah, and then Cattle just goes, hits him with the old punch and just goes, thanks for the fight. Then you see Genji show up after somebody's already dead with the shuriken. You're like, that was what they were waiting for. It's just really well done by Temple Storm. Kind of, again, that feigning weakness in order to gain the upper hand over that last fight. And twice in a row, No Tomorrow just, I mean, it looked really good in those last two fights.
When the Entomb goes down and you walk into it and there's a Diablo kind of nearby, there's got to be something that goes off like, maybe I shouldn't be here, because if he charges me, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's just going to be a minimum of, I mean, devastating charge depending on what that's looking at. But otherwise, you were for sure, here's wall 1, here's wall 2. There's about 0 ways to goof that combo up.
Well, the thing is, he got one. He's like, well, I don't need this other one. So I think he had used his overpower to get the reset, because then Jin's walking away and Iron Skin's off. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're not going to make it very far. You use that. Obviously, you're trying to get out of there, but you just wait for the next devastating charge. And all it took was him to kind of go flipping back over. And it's just the level of control that we saw in the early game from No Tomorrow, it just seemed, again, when we saw that 9-7 in the previous game. There we saw the 10 spike, had a full level, could have easily pushed in and taken that entire mid fort, because the next shrine, where do your advantages lie? And it just kind of surprised me that they didn't try and take advantage of that. Instead, they walked off, they cleared, they pushed out the bottom, which had already lost the fort, pushed it all the way down the lane, then came back up. By the time you're back, you're like, well, now we don't have time to do anything, so I guess we'll just wait for the next one. And then it's right back to an even game. Moments like that, you have to learn from, right? It's just, you see it so often, and you're thinking, like, I don't know about this. And in those moments, obviously, it's a difficult call in terms of how much can we get. We're going up against the top team. Maybe we can't get this, but you have to identify those. And I think No Tomorrow struggled a little bit in games 2 and 3 with those leads that they, obtained in the early game. They just didn't do a whole lot with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point that you bring up. And every time, I want to always talk about that all the time, but I feel like it's one of those things where, to be honest with you, it is not easy information to digest. No matter how many times you look at it, especially like Tomb, Curse Hollow, I feel like are 2 of those maps. Dragonshire is another one where I can tell you, like, this is actually setting you behind miles. And you would be like, why? Like, it doesn't look like it's going to. But if you consider that kind of in optimal situations, and if your opponent does this one thing slightly different, you go, oh, wait a minute. This is like night and day. And that 9-7 is like, again, that kind of screenshot where you hit the something messed up here for No Tomorrow. If they'll find ways to kind of clean that up, maybe they could claim games for themselves over Tempo Storm.
It's just, that's why, personally, team like Dignitas, team like Ballistics, they're really strong in team fighting. You got Poik and Snitch over there that just literally obliterate people. They're at the top, but there's a lot of small things that they do, especially with the addition of Wubby. A lot of things that he does, obviously the macro game a lot different now, but they still find different advantages to get maximum things out of it. It was something I was able to point out at the Clash. Like, the amount of value they get out of Punishers is literally second to none of anybody in the world. I think a lot of teams need to go back and watch those replays and see what they're doing differently, because a lot of teams, I mean, just earlier, the Fnatic game, how do you nitpick a team that just 3-0'd and came out and won pretty well? But, even the push that they had earlier, you and I were talking about before, obviously don't want to get too much into that, but it's like they could have done more. And it's hard to ask for more of a team that's literally coming out and bodying a team and going 3-0, but you're like, you could do better. Is that asking too much? I don't know.
I don't know either, but I do believe we have the man, the myth here, June, on the line with us here, the support out of Tempo Storm. June, 6-0 weekend, you got to be feeling good. What are the thoughts, not only from that series, but the entirety of Week 7 here?
We're feeling pretty good. Fact that we didn't drop a single game, which is really good for us going to, on our way to mid-season. But again, our remaining games are going to be probably a lot harder, so we need to make sure we're in the shape.
That's something that we were talking a little bit at the desk, and I want to bring up here to you is if you can indulge in that a little bit more, is because after what happened yesterday, with the Gale Force Esports with Team 12, the major upset happening there, the power rankings, standings in North America, it's clear that there's a Tempo Storm and the rest of NA, but what the rest of NA and how it kind of falls is a very kind of huge question mark. And because we are yet to be able to see you play any of those teams, where do you think that maybe those kind of teams fall, and how do you think the gap from you and the rest of NA is big, or it's maybe a little bit smaller than it came off so far?
I honestly, I don't want to sound too BM though.
Okay, confidence is not BM, June.
Okay, I think we're probably by far the top NA. Sorry guys, no flame. But but again, like how a series of Guild Force and um, Team 12 went, like you never know what's gonna happen. Even though we're at the top, once we are too overconfident and don't respect our team, anything can happen. So
So got to
yeah,
keep that respect in check.
yeah.
Is there any, kind of secret to being Tempo Storm? How do you guys end up, dominating North America, not only throughout a majority last year, but then coming into this one? I mean, other than just being very skilled, good team players, you guys got any pocket secrets that you want to share with us?
We have this one really secret strat. I don't reveal it. It has to do specific Anna. Let him play Anna. But yeah. Other than that,
Just on
not
it.
sure.
All right. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
June.
yeah.
I'm going to send you to JL.
All right, June, you just said you feel that your team is pretty much the best. But I do got to ask you, in games 2 and 3, you guys actually found yourselves behind multiple times. Is that just because Diablo picks up a lot of strength late game? Where do you see? Obviously, No Tomorrow comes in very aggressive. How do you guys get behind in those situations against a team like No Tomorrow?
For example, game on towers where they did the early invade, we knew that they were gonna do it, but we kind of like slow at the rotate and we didn't really respect their positioning, so we kind of got off guard. I feel like we played a little too fast and didn't respect their team enough early game. So yeah.
All right, outside of Ana being one of the most OP heroes that's yet to be played, we've seen a high priority for Uther for you lately. Obviously, we saw Uther a lot in the Korean meta in the early part, kind of Uther falling off a little bit here in North America. There was some mixed play, but not a lot. All of a sudden, you come out this weekend, I think you had 4 out of your 6 games were on Uther, and a high priority on that. Where does this come from?
Honestly, I personally hate Uther because I used to play Uther every single game back in 2015. So I really hate the hero, but Uther is really good versus Genji in general, and they first picked Genji all 3 games, I think. And Uther is good with Genji, and is good against Genji. So I think that's one of the reasons why we picked it up all 3 games.
And then we saw the rare Defined Storm game. Was that a situational pick during that first game? Did you plan that, or was that kind of like, oh, this is a good time to pick it because we're in the middle of a fight?
Yeah, I kind of planned that. Just looking at their comp, this show would have been okay too, but I feel like since we have a lot of CC comp, as long as I lock them down and kill them, why do you need this show? That kind of thing.
Why do you need D-Shield, and why do you need all that other healings when Ana is on the table? I don't know where it's at, June, but I'm hoping you get it one day, man.
Hope so.
All right, man. Thanks. Congratulations.
I also, June, hope that we end up getting ourselves a, June Ana in the near future. I know that you guys feel like you're kind of on another tier, but looking a little bit more towards next week and knowing that we're going to have you going up against Team 12 and the struggles that they've had this week, I mean, are you guys afraid of maybe them kind of rallying together and using some of the struggles over this weekend to maybe come out stronger? Or are you just, again, still sitting in it's like nobody's even close and it's not going to change anytime soon?
So I mean, we are confident that we're gonna keep doing well, but at the same time, we cannot be overconfident at all because, for example, last split versus LFN, I feel like we almost we could have lost the series because we're not respecting their team enough. So no matter how certain team played before, like we're not gonna care about it too much. We just gonna respect their team and try our best, no matter how they played or whoever it is.
All right, well, congrats again for today's games, and thank you very much for your time. The floor is yours for any shout-outs, in case other than the Ana one, obviously.
Shout out to you guys for casting, Twitch chat, of course. Our team for playing really well this weekend. I hope we continue to do that. And obviously our awesome sponsor, Red Bull, Nvidia, Twitch, Secret Labs, Felix Gray, SkyTech Gaming, and Playing V.
Thank you very much, June. Congratulations, and talk to you later, man. That was a pretty solid reading of the sponsors.